Welcome to the Online Digital Marketing Podcast. We'll be discussing marketing strategies, trends, and tips that will help your business succeed in the digital age. Every episode, we'll be interviewing industry professionals and providing valuable insights on how to leverage digital tools for maximum engagement and ROI. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest trends in online marketing.
There's this very specific, almost romanticized sequence of events that most of us imagine when we talk about content creation. You know, you have that initial spark of an idea, you grind through the filming, you edit until your eyes are just completely blurring, and then the moment of truth, you hit that upload button. And logically, or maybe just emotionally, that feels like the starting gun.
Yeah, that's the intuitive way to view the process, right? The creative phase ends and the distribution phase begins.
Exactly. But we have a stack of research here today, pulling from some heavy algorithm architecture documentation and a really comprehensive guide called Skyrocket Your YouTube Views. And it suggests this intuition is actually a massive trap. The core argument we're looking at is, well, it's pretty provocative. If you treat the publish button as the starting line, you have likely already lost the race.
It is a fundamental shifting of the goalposts. The data we're looking at suggests that hitting publish should actually be viewed as the finish line. The real heavy lifting, the architectural work that determines if a video gets 10 views or 10,000, it happens entirely in what we call the pre-upload phase.
And before we get into the how of that phase, I think we really need to contextualize the why. Because the numbers in this report regarding competition are, well, they're sobering.
Sobering is a polite way to put it, honestly. We are talking about over 1,000 videos being bumped onto YouTube every single minute.
1,000 per minute. I mean, that is just an absurd amount of noise to try and cut through.
It really is. So the source material uses this great analogy. If you just upload a video, even a brilliant, highly produced video, without the proper groundwork and structural signaling, it's like showing up to a modern battlefield with a butter knife. You are essentially invisible to the system because you're buried under a mountain of unoptimized content right out of the gate.
So the mission for this deep dive is to dissect that exact pre-upload game plan to stop you from bringing that butter knife. We aren't talking about lighting today. We aren't talking about editing, pacing, or what camera gear you should buy. We are talking about the invisible layer, the metadata, the psychology, and the technical signals that tell the algorithm, hey, pay attention to this piece of content.
Precisely. It's all about asset optimization before the public ever sees a single frame.
Let's start at the very beginning of that process. And I mean the absolute beginning, before the browser is even open to upload. The research highlights a step that I think most people skip entirely, which is the raw file itself.
Right. This is the invisible signal. To understand why this matters, you really have to empathize with the algorithm. We often think of the algorithm as this all-knowing AI that literally watches our video and decides if it's funny or engaging. It isn't doing that. It's a machine processing code. It's basically a detective looking for clues in a pitch-black room.
And most of us are handing that detective a blank sheet of paper, right? The sources call this the IMG 4782 mistake.
Yes, the dreaded generic file name. If you export your video from your editing software and just leave it as sequence1 or random string of camera numbers like img4782.mov, you are uploading a file that tells the YouTube ingestion engine absolutely zero information about what's inside. You're forcing the system to rely 100% on visual and audio processing after the fact, which takes time and is definitely not perfect.
So the fix here is incredibly simple, but you have to do it. You rename the raw file on your hard drive before you even log into YouTube. But the Skyrocket guide gets very specific about how to name it. You don't just call it My Cool Video.
No, the syntax actually matters a lot here. You need to inject your primary keywords directly into that file name. But more importantly, the instruction is to use hyphens between the words, not underscores or spaces.
Okay, let's pause right there because this jumped out at me. Why that specific distinction? Is there really a functional difference between a hyphen and an underscore to a supercomputer in 2026?
In the world of search engine architecture, yes, there is. It goes all the way back to how early search spiders were coded to read URLs in directories. Search engines generally read hyphens as spaces. They treat them as distinct word separators. Underscores, on the other hand, can sometimes be read as joining characters, which effectively mashes the words into one long, unintelligible string.
So a file named how to optimize YouTube videos.mp4 is read clearly as 5 distinct words.
Exactly. Whereas with underscores, it might be read as how to optimize YouTube videos, all as one nonsense word. And that nonsense word doesn't match anything in the user's search query.
So this whole thing is really about indexing.
It is the very first indexing signal the platform gets. When that little upload bar starts moving across your screen, the algorithm is already reading that file name. If it matches your future video title and your tags, you're creating a corroborating signal. You're telling the system right off the bat, I am consistent and I know exactly what this content is.
It's essentially establishing a chain of custody for the topic. You're proving to the machine that the video file actually contains what the packaging says it contains.
Correct. It builds trust with the indexing system immediately before the video is even fully processed.
Okay, so we've handled the file. We've shaken hands with the machine. Now we have to pivot to the human element, which is the thumbnail.
Ah, the storefront window.
Yeah, the storefront window. The source material calls this the one impression rule, which feels like a lot of pressure, but basically you do not get a second chance to catch a viewer's eye.
You really don't. And I think creators often treat thumbnails as art projects, whereas the Skyrocket guide heavily suggests treating them as billboard advertising. There are technical non-negotiables here if you want to compete.
Let's talk about those specs, because I see people uploading all sorts of random aspect ratios or literally just letting YouTube pick a blurry screenshot from the middle of the video. The guide is incredibly strict about this, 1280 by 720 pixels.
It's the absolute standard. But the reason isn't just because YouTube says so in a help article. It's about how that image scales across the entire ecosystem. If you upload a weird resolution, YouTube's compression might crop it awkwardly or stretch it. But the real issue driving this strictness is the mobile factor.
This is a huge statistic in the notes. Roughly 70% of views.
Yes, 70% of YouTube traffic is happening on mobile devices. Now, sit with that reality for a second. Most creators design their thumbnails sitting at a desk on a nice 27-inch 4K monitor. They're zooming in, they're tweaking little drop shadows, making sure the intricate font looks super artistic.
But the actual audience is looking at it on a piece of glass the size of a playing card.
Or even smaller. If they are in portrait mode scrolling down the home feed, that thumbnail is essentially the size of a postage stamp. If your text isn't bold, high contrast, and minimal, it just turns into visual mush.
So the old graphic design squint test really applies here.
Absolutely. If you step back from your monitor and squint, and you can't instantly read the text or understand the emotion of the image, it fails the mobile test. If it looks like garbage on a phone screen, you are alienating the vast majority of your potential audience before the video even starts playing.
The guide also mentions this concept of strategic spying regarding thumbnails and titles. That sounds a bit, I don't know, nefarious. Are we encouraging people to just plagiarize here?
Not copying at all. It's market analysis. The distinction is crucial. You aren't downloading someone else's image and putting your face over it. You are analyzing the visual vernacular of your specific niche.
Visual vernacular. Break that down for me. What does that look like in practice?
Think about it like magazine covers on a newsstand. A fashion magazine cover looks fundamentally different from a tech magazine cover. If you are in the tech review niche, there is a certain style, usually brightly lit products, maybe a shocked facial expression, specific bold sans serif fonts that instantly signals tech review to the audience. If you're in the true crime niche, the vernacular is totally different. It's dark, moody, usually features red text or police tape.
Right, so if you try to use a bright, bubbly tech review style thumbnail for a grim true crime video, you create cognitive dissonance for the viewer.
Exactly. The user just scrolls right past because their brain doesn't categorize it correctly in that split second. They don't even realize it's a video tailored for their interests. So you spy on your competition to see what is currently working, what generates clicks, and then you apply those structural principles to your own brand. You want to fit in just enough to be recognized, but stand out enough to actually earn the click.
And earning that click is tied to CPR, which is the metric the algorithm watches like a hawk.
Click-through rate is one of the primary behavioral triggers. A high CTR tells the algorithm, hey, people are actively choosing this over the other options. That kicks off a feedback loop where the system pushes your video out to wider and wider impression pools.
Okay, moving down the pre-upload checklist. We've got the optimized file. We've got the highly readable visual packaging. Now, let's talk about something that I feel is almost always overlooked or just completely delegated to the platform to handle. Subtitles.
Accessibility.
Right. Now, the notes call this a hidden gem for growth, which I found fascinating. Usually when we talk about accessibility, it's framed as a compliance issue or just, doing the right thing for the audience?
And it absolutely is the right thing to do. But in the context of algorithm architecture, the Skyrocket guide frames accessibility as discoverability. This is all about the SRT file, the actual subtitle document.
Because most people just let YouTube auto-generate the captions, right? The speech-to-text tech is pretty good these days. Why go through the extra effort of making your own file?
It is good, but it's not perfect. And not perfect is a massive problem for SEO, for search engine optimization. When you rely solely on auto captions, you are hoping the AI hears you correctly. If you have an accent, or you use heavy technical jargon, or there's loud background music, the AI makes mistakes.
Oh, I've definitely seen auto captions turn the word algorithm into algorithm.
Exactly. And here is why that matters from a technical standpoint. YouTube indexes the caption file. It reads that text to deeply understand the context and content of the video. If you upload a clean, manually edited SRT file, you are feeding the algorithm a perfect word-for-word transcript of your content.
So you're essentially handing the search engine a script of exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, you are injecting your target keywords directly into the database. If someone searches for a highly specific phrase that you happen to use 3 minutes into the video, a clean SRT file makes it significantly more likely your video will surface for that exact query. It is pure metadata injection.
Plus, this really circles back to the mobile user again, doesn't it?
A huge overlap there? Think about how people consume content now. Many mobile users watch with the sound off. They're on the bus, they're in bed next to a sleeping spouse, they're sitting in a waiting room. If your auto captions are a messy block of text with no punctuation, or they're just missing entirely, the viewer scrolls past, you have to reduce friction.
Reducing friction really seems to be the underlying theme of this entire pre-upload phase. Which brings us smoothly to the structure of the video itself.
Chapters.
The structural architecture of the timeline. Timestamps.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second, because I talk to a lot of creators who absolutely hate chapters. They argue, look, if I put timestamps in the description, people will just skip to the one part they want, watch for 30 seconds, and leave. My overall watch time will tank.
It's a very valid fear. Intuitively, you spend hours making a video, you naturally want them to sit there and watch the whole thing. But the data from the algorithm architecture notes suggests the exact opposite phenomenon actually occurs. We have to draw a hard line between satisfied skimming and frustrated abandonment. Okay, let's unpack those two terms. What does frustrated abandonment look like?
If a viewer clicks your video looking for a specific answer, let's say they search how to fix a leaky kitchen faucet, and they have to sit through 3 minutes of you talking about your day and showing off your tools just to find out what size wrench they need, they get frustrated. They scrub around blindly, get annoyed, and click off. You lose them entirely. Retention drops to 0. That is frustrated abandonment.
Versus giving them the map and letting them skip.
Right. If you give them clear chapters, they look at the timeline, they skip straight to the wrench size part, they get their answer immediately, they are satisfied. The algorithm registers that interaction as a successful session. They found exactly what they came for. Plus, and this is a massive bonus, chapters take up physical space on Google search results.
The notes refer to this as free real estate.
Yes. If you search a how-to query on Google, you will often see the video result pop up with little blue links underneath it for step 1, step 2, step 3. Those are pulled directly from your chapters. It pushes your text-based competitors further down the page and makes your video look like the definitive, most organized answer on the web.
So by trying to trap the viewer into watching everything, you actually lose them. But by giving them the freedom to navigate, you gain authority and secure the view.
Respecting the user's time is always a winning strategy on YouTube. And that respect for the user experience extends to how you plan the end of the video, too. Let's look at the strategic planning section of the guide.
We're talking about end screens and interactive cards here.
Yes. The pre-upload game plan is highly critical of how most creators handle this step. They treat it as an absolute afterthought. You know the feeling, you're in the final screen of the upload window, and you think, oh, right, I guess I should slap a subscribe button and a random video link up here.
I am completely guilty of this. I usually just select the best for viewer template YouTube offers and just hope for the best.
And the sources say that is leaving a massive engagement on the table. The guide argues for a concept called ecosystem building. You shouldn't just be ending a video, you should be actively bridging the viewer to the next relevant piece of content. And this bridge needs to be planned out before you even turn the camera on.
So in my script, instead of just saying thanks for watching, I should be saying something like, if you liked this, you're going to love the next video.
You need to be even more specific than that. Generalities do not convert well. You want to say something highly targeted, like we just talked about metadata today. But if you want to really understand the psychology of color theory and thumbnails, click this video right here on the screen. You are purposefully guiding the viewer deeper into your specific library. You're trying to trigger a binge session.
It's like a relay race. You have to confidently pass the baton. If you don't have a baton ready to hand off, or you drop it by being vague, the viewer just wanders off to someone else's channel.
Exactly. And the algorithm loves session time. Watch time on a single video is great, but if your video acts as a springboard that starts a viewing session where the user watches 3 or 4 of your videos in a row, you are golden. The algorithm starts seeing your channel as a highly sticky destination.
Sticky is definitely good. Now, this concept of building momentum also touches on consistency, right? The algorithm momentum.
It does. The research notes were actually pretty flexible on what specific day of the week you should upload, but they were incredibly strict about the consistency of that schedule.
And so it doesn't really matter if my upload day is Tuesday or Friday, as long as it is always Tuesday or always Friday.
Precisely. It trains your core audience to expect you, yes, but more importantly, it trains the algorithm. If you publish completely sporadically, the indexing system doesn't know when to crawl your channel for new data. But if you maintain a fixed schedule, you build algorithmic momentum. Breaking that established pattern actively destroys the momentum you've built up.
Okay, let's talk about the launch itself. We've gone through the gauntlet, we renamed the raw file with hyphens, we optimized the thumbnail for mobile screens, we verified the SRT text, structured the chapters, and planned our end screen bridge. We are finally actually ready to hit publish.
The catalyst moment.
Does the exact time of day you hit that button actually matter? I hear such conflicting things about this. Some people say it's evergreen content, it's going to be on the internet forever, just post it whenever it's done. But the sources here seem to heavily disagree with that relaxed approach.
It matters immensely because of a concept called velocity.
Velocity. That sounds like a physics term making its way into marketing.
In this specific context, it refers to the speed and volume of views and engagement your video gets in those crucial first few hours after going live. YouTube needs immediate data to judge the quality of a video. When you first upload, the algorithm is sitting there watching the immediate reaction from your core audience. It's aggressively looking for early engagement signals. If you upload at 3 a.m. when your primary audience is fast asleep, the video just sits there with 0 views for 6 hours.
And the algorithm naturally assumes it's a dud.
Right. It sees low velocity. It assumes nobody cares about the topic. But if you use your analytics to find out when your specific audience is historically awake and active and you upload right then, you get that initial spike. High click-through rate, high comment volume right out of the gate. That early velocity tells the algorithm, this is hot content. We need to expand the impression pool immediately.
So you're basically jump-starting the engine rather than waiting for it to turn over on its own.
Exactly. And you don't just sit back and wait for YouTube to do all the work either. The pre-upload buzz strategy in the guide explicitly mentions cross-promotion.
But this isn't just auto-posting a generic link to Twitter an hour after the fact, is it?
No, it's about priming the pump. It's teasing a high-energy clip on Instagram Reels, or posting a thought-provoking quote from the video on LinkedIn before the full video even goes live. You want people actively waiting for that notification bell to ring. You want to artificially manufacture that initial velocity so the algorithm has absolutely no choice but to pay attention.
When you lay it all out like that, it really does feel like a military operation, or at least a very strict architectural project.
It is. It's a comprehensive checklist. And skipping steps means leaving potential views on the table.
And I think that brings us perfectly back to the central theme we started this deep dive with. We opened by stating that publishing is actually the finish line.
That really is the ultimate takeaway here. If you look closely at the massively successful channels, the ones that constantly seem to have luck on their side, you'll find that their luck is actually just the byproduct of a very rigorous, uncompromising pre-upload checklist.
It's not magic, it's just meticulous preparation.
Exactly. And so the real reason all of this matters beyond just getting a high score on a digital dashboard is that these optimizations build a tangible business asset. Advertisers and sponsors pay premium rates for safe, structured, high engagement content. By doing this, you are building a professional content library, not just casually dumping files into a digital landfill.
I want to leave the listener with a thought that really struck me while I was reading through these notes getting ready for today. We have spent the last 15 plus minutes talking about algorithms, metadata injection, search spiders, and indexing velocity. We've been very, very focused on the machine.
We have. It is incredibly easy to get lost in the technical mechanics of it all.
But when you actually take a step back and look at the practical advice we just unpacked, writing clear titles, ensuring text is readable on small screens, providing accurate subtitles for people who need them, organizing your thoughts into chapters, and uploading when people are actually awake and ready to engage.
It's all just good user experience.
Exactly. It begs the question, are we really hacking a robot here? Or is the robot simply programmed to reward the content that treats human beings the best?
That is the beautiful paradox of the whole system, isn't it? The algorithm is essentially just a complex mirror reflecting human behavior. It ultimately wants what we want. We spend all this time trying to optimize for the machine, but the machine is spending all its processing power optimizing for the person on the other side of the screen. So if you build your pre-upload strategy around respecting the audience's time and attention, you inevitably end up pleasing the algorithm anyway.
So the real secret is to stop trying to trick the bot and start serving the human.
I couldn't have said it better myself. The algorithm is ultimately just a ruler measuring how well you serve your audience.
What a fantastic place to wrap up today's discussion. Check those file names, folks, and respect your viewers' time. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Ready to take your online business to the next level? Subscribe to our digital marketing podcast and then join our Accountability for Success Mastermind. With expert advice from industry leaders, you'll gain knowledge and insights that will help you succeed in today's digital marketing world. From social media strategies to search engine optimization, we have all the tools you need. Learn from successful entrepreneurs and take control of your online success. Join the Accountability for Success Mastermind now at bit.ly/AFSM podcast.